Well, hello, and welcome back to more TwoSun Tuesday. This is the TS48, which has an interesting hawkbill blade, if you can see that kind of curve there. Made it a little bit interesting to sharpen. It's not the most difficult knife that I've sharpened, but it certainly could prove challenging for some people on stones. One thing that you've probably heard me rag on a few times is this clip. And I'm going to contradict myself. I've recently gotten a hold of this guy, and with this particular handle design, that super little pointy guy right there actually goes really comfortably right there in my hand, and it doesn't bother me whatsoever while I'm actually holding on to it, which is great. It's about the only knife with that clip that I can really say that for. And it's probably one of the last as well. This is the 48, and I think moving on from there, number-wise, would be this guy, which I'll be taking a look at pretty soon. And that has that deep carry clip that does a better job. So, yeah, this guy's in Jade. I honestly don't know if I've seen it in other colors, but it's got Jade and an orange backspacer here. It's all, G10. This looks rather Listerine-like in color. But yeah, it's a NightMorning design. It's in D2, so obviously with the lower numbers that would make sense, especially with NightMorning actually having the name written out rather than his newer insignia that he uses. But like all TwoSun knives, kind of got that signature now pivot kind of thing for him. Riding on ceramic ball bearings and with the ceramic detent ball as well. There's not a whole lot interesting going on the inside, but I certainly will go ahead and pull them apart for y'all. Obviously, it's TwoSun, so T8 hardware all around. As you can see, I got my screw down here, and there we go. And you can see this screw up here is going to turn along with it. So, nope, I'm absolutely wrong on that. It is. It's splitting apart on me. So I'll just keep going. There it goes. And yes, I like it when it drives it out from the other side. That's always kind of funny to me. Oh well. There we go. And a little pivot screw right here. Come on apart there now, boy. I always like to, if I can, push the pivot out from the other side. This guy seems a little stubborn at the moment. That's interesting to me. I just did have him apart a day or two ago. Yep, that's just free spinning in there. We gonna crack into this. It just might take me another moment or two to loosen the beast. And you know what? I'm also gonna just yank the pocket clip off because why not? He's got long screws for the pocket clip. I mean, it's got to go through quite a bit of G10 as well as the steel liner in there. Alright, yeah, well, that's going to help me out a little bit. I want to get my spudger real quick. Here we are. If you do care about not scratching the heck out of your knives or whatever, you probably don't want to use a metal spudger, but hey, I honestly don't mind all that much, and it does give you a lot more leverage. There we go. I'm off of the pivot. There we go. So yeah, there's one of the back spacers. And you can see there's not a whole lot holding on to this little area here. But some of their newer ones, they don't even have this little stuff holding on. So it doesn't really affect the integrity whatsoever. But yep, there you go. There's the ceramic bearings on both sides. And the good old detent ramp. Like that quite a bit. You see that it's got a blade pen that's actually connected to the blade rather than sitting in the liner. I honestly don't know the advantage one way or the other. I'm sure on this one in particular, because it doesn't have that liner here on the outside of it, it probably makes it easier to push the pivot further forward, so you can kind of maximize blade to handle length a little bit. But I've also seen some others where they do have a liner pen here or something like that that also helps out getting the handle to body ratio or handle to blade ratio. That's the words I'm looking for. But yeah, this guy's pretty darn sweet. I've put a pretty wicked edge on it at the moment. I kind of went on a sharpening rampage. So yeah, just barely any effort or resistance required for cutting some paper up. And yeah, you can see it's got a little bit of skeletonization going on here. Nothing going on the liner lock side, but you can see that we have a D-shaped pivot, and we also have one on a liner. So that's fantastic. When you have both of those, it actually works correctly, and then you can enjoy taking your knife apart just a little bit easier. But yeah, all right. So from here, I'll just slap this guy back together. Something I do notice a lot recently on some quite a few liner lock knives, not necessarily just from TwoSun, but they certainly do it as well, is well, it's probably kind of hard to see until I actually put it all the way back together, but the detent hole, when the blade's open, it's actually exposed. It's not, internal to the handle, which means it's really susceptible to getting stuff in it. Grit, whatever you're cutting, pocket lint, I don't know, whatever. I haven't run into a whole lot of problems with that personally, but it is something that I generally don't like to see if I can help it at all. It just, between bearings already, kind of having the knife get a little bit more susceptible to gunk than if you're using phosphor bronze washers or whatnot. Like I said, I haven't really run into much of a problem with it yet. It's just something I'm a little wary of. And you can see I completely just didn't space that correctly at all. There we go. Sometimes I'm not the brightest crayon in the box or whatever you want to say, but I can figure it out. It just takes me a couple of seconds. Yeah, this guy is just a little snug snapping back together. That's why I had a bit of a difficulty pulling it apart there. But yeah, I mean the G10's quite nice. Nice and contoured, so it's pretty darn comfortable to use overall. And I actually do like this hawkbill style blade for some utility cutting. especially if you really want to mess around with the tip. That actually gives you a little bit more access to it than you'd get out of some sheep's foot or other blades. And that can be a certainly nice thing if you're doing a lot of draw cuts. This guy's spinning because those aren't D-shaped, unfortunately. Some companies, like Spyderco and Benchmade, do D-shape their their backspacer kind of things, and then others certainly don't. It's generally not that much of a problem when I got a little secondary Torx guy right there. Just put the pivot screw in and close it real quick. Alrighty, and then I should probably actually grab the T8 instead of a T6. That would actually help out quite a bit. I'd actually just recently used this to put a CJRB back together, so that's why my mind was on T6. But as long as this guy will actually thread, hey, there we go. Yep, I can get that pivot a little tighter. Yep, solid as a rock. It's a wiggle shut, like a lot of knives from a whole bunch of manufacturers are. And I'll tell you the truth, I do actually kind of prefer that a bit to the full drop shut, which is sometimes fun to play with, but really easy to actually cut yourself with on accident when you're not thinking about it, and you're closing at one hand and you get over that detent and you're not thinking about it. You're used to pulling your hand away or whatever, and it'll just come right down and kind of bite you. It's got my thumbnail a few times in the past. Not this particular knife, but just the whole drop shutty kind of thing. So it's something to, I guess, aspire to for people to ooh and ah over. But practicality side, it's not really something that I strongly care one way or the other about. Just as long as it's easy to close, then that's great. Unless we're talking a crossbar lock, like the access lock from Benchmade or whatever. If that doesn't drop shut because I've removed the tension from the system by pulling that bar back, like if it doesn't dangle around, then that makes me sad. But for liner lock, I do actually like just a little bit of resistance, so I can safely not touch the blade and make sure that it's not going to slam down on my fingers. Anyway, the flipper tab on this guy, interesting, and it's kind of milled out there. Probably saves like quarter of a gram or something. I don't know. Does a pretty good job with the jimping there. And it does have these little fuller kind of things. TwoSun's been doing quite a bit of these. Some of their designers have really taken a liking to some of these fullers. But this has a larger area towards the front, probably mostly designed as a blade pull. But it does relatively easily allow you to use it as kind of a spider hole for opening, or you can flick it with your middle finger on the other hand. Works out fantastic that way as well. It's a pretty darn interesting little guy. A lot of these Jade knives, I've gotten quite a few recently, like this guy. There's the Manix 2, certainly a different grain. And here's another TwoSun that's got some Jade handles. I I'm not really sold on exactly how they look, but I do know that they're quite easy to dye, so I do plan on trying a little bit of dye jobs with the permanent red dye and stuff sometime in the future. Probably around the same time I get around to actually figuring out how to do some titanium anodization, so I can make some other titanium knives look super nice and spiffy. Anyway, I'm just rambling on at this point. This is a great knife. Geez, I want to say I paid somewhere around 35 maybe for it. Let's see, I got, yep, exactly 35 bucks, which is a heck of a deal for it. It's not the lightest thing in the world, 4.65 ounces or 132 grams, so it does have a little bit of heft to it. You can see that from its handle thickness. But yeah, nice 3.5-inch blade, which is generally right around where some people would probably say that's kind of their higher echelon, me with the larger hands. That's right around the blade size. Right around 3.4 and up is generally my preference for the whole standard, pocket clip kind of dealios. But yeah, that's the TS48 in Jade with a little orange crenellated G10 backspacer. Fantastic little guy if you can pick him up for that price. Well, as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, yo.